So social media can get a bad rap in the media at large, and rightfully so. There's some really scary things that can be done with influencing behavior, but at the same point, we live in a time where literally everything can be in your fingertips. Every time I travel somewhere, I tell the internet, and I try to find people with like-minded shared values about the behavior analysis that I pursue and that I love and enjoy. Now, on my most recent trip to Ireland with my family, I met up with Dave O'Regan. He's the one that replied out of a bunch of social media posts saying, hey, I'm looking to connect. And today we're going to talk about just what it's like with services in the UK. Now, he's from Ireland, but he actually got all of his experience in the UK and just moved back to Ireland recently. And then we share an interesting piece of literature and an article that he wrote as well, focusing around like the PBS culture. So I hope you enjoy, and I'll be back after the interview. All right, welcome to Daily BA, hanging out with Dave O'Regan. And we are here in Dublin hanging out. Just want to get some perspective for y'all about what it's like with ABA service delivery or behavior analysis in Ireland. You've also got an extensive history in the UK as well.
Well, to be honest,
right?
like my only experience really is in the UK. I've only just come back since October. So I'm kind of learning myself about how like ABA, PBS services are delivered in Ireland now.
Okay.
So I went to the UK in 2006, having done an undergrad degree in psychology, where the only thing that I really learned was how to appraise research and carry out like small research projects or small experiments.
Okay.
We had maybe like 4 lectures in behavior analysis, 2 of which were on like schedules of reinforcement, 2 of which were on RFT.
Okay.
So you can imagine how many people got like freaked out by the RFT part, right?
Yeah.
You know, after having had like 2 basic lectures.
Yeah.
So I had an interest in ABA because I knew it worked, you know?
Okay.
And like a lot of the stuff in the psychology undergrad, I just didn't really know, you couldn't really see the applicability of it, right? And like, so I've got a younger brother with an intellectual disability myself. That's kind of where my psychology interest came from.
Okay.
But then, so I was kind of interested in like studying psychology to think, well, how do, you know, I'd be interested to learn how he doesn't learn the same way that I do, and what people can do about that. You don't learn much about that in undergrad degree psychology at all, you know, and you only find that out when you do the degree, right? Mm-hmm. So I came out of that not knowing what to do. My wife was going to England to do a master's in health psychology, so I said like just go along for fun for a year. Got a job, they funded me to do the master's in ABA, and that's how I got into ABA. I never worked in ABA in Ireland at all until coming back in last year. Okay. So I'm kind of green to the setup over here, you know.
And we were talking about the UK. It sounded like it was. There's some similarities to the US in that there's sometimes some isolated teams that can be just really concentrated behavior analysts, like really structured well.
Yeah.
You were working on a team like
that?
I
was working on a team up in the northwest of England, the Positive Behaviour Support Service in Halton Borough Council.
Okay.
And that really is a hub of behaviour analytic knowledge nationally. I think it's one of the strongest from a practitioner perspective.
Okay.
So you've got maybe 7 or 8 BCBAs, 13, 14 people who get masters in ABA, 3 people who are on the masters, BCBA D supervision by Sandy Toogood, who's a highly experienced, incredibly knowledgeable practitioner and academic, and he was involved in the setup of that service, so it was set up to run well from the off. And it's obviously not perfect because no service is, and you're working, you know, so it's a community-based service going out to like family homes, or to schools, or to support tenancy, support living arrangements, or residential homes, and working in those different services. So we're not part of the services we work in. We're just coming in as like outside professionals. Okay. So that brings us difficulties in terms of actually being able to make change happen and having the authority to make stuff happen. But so it comes with its challenges in that way. But it's set up with the kind of knowledge base and the supervision support. And you've got those 16 people in one office. Yeah, that's so crazy. So you come back from like a difficult visit, and thinking, I don't know what's happening there, and then you get 4 or 5 different opinions as to, you know, reassurance as to what you're doing. Cool. Whereas this team I've just joined now, there's 5 of us behaviour analysts, behaviour therapists nationally, and so you're in an office with no behaviour analysts. Yeah. Which is a different, you know, I mean, you can bring people and you can talk to them, you can email them. It's great to have that face-to-face support, you know. Are
there other professions in your office?
Well, I've been there 3 weeks, so I don't really have an office. Yeah, I'm in an office if nobody's in there.
Yeah, it's new.
So if somebody's in the office, there's no space. So you know, there's nobody in my office at the moment. You know.
Okay. What's the day-to-day like then? Is it just providing like in-home services in a few different...
So it's this new job I'm in now. It's a not-for-profit provider of residential services, support tenancies, day services, outreach support for people with intellectual disabilities, acquired brain injuries, mental health difficulties. So you're working in, so it could be you're going out to see a guy who lives in an apartment that's part of the service, and you're working with the staff team there to like figure out why challenging behaviour is happening, behaviour that's challenging that service.
Yeah.
With them design a plan that's going to help them with the person involved if they have the ability to be involved.
Yeah.
And try to help them implement that. But then I'm doing that across like a number of different counties in the country. I know again I've only just started the job, so I don't really know how it's going to work out yet. But a number of different counties, and you're giving a little bit of kind of consultative support, but not having as much kind of time, I guess, and resource to like put loads of support in like I would have had in my previous job. That previous job I was in this Halton Borough Council position had a tiered structure: behaviour analysts, assistant behaviour analysts, and behavioural support workers helping implement like the plans that were written.
Yeah. Like
so, providing direct support for as long as it was needed to make the change happen. Because I mean, you know yourself, like you do your assessment, you've got your plan. The plan can be great, but the behaviour of the people around the person has to change in order to make the change happen for the person.
Yeah.
And behaviour change is hard, right?
Yeah.
We all know that if we try to like give up smoking or go to the gym more,
or
stop eating biscuits at like 11 o'clock at night, it's difficult to give stuff up and to start new things. And like so, I've recently enough became a dad, and now I've got more insight into how hard it is for families. So like, just ignore that behaviour. So I've got a thing with mess, right? So my son gets his yogurt, and sometimes he eats it beautifully. Sometimes he gets it, he lamps it out on the table, and he's like smashing it all over the place. And I'm learning, I'm growing with that, and I'm getting better at it. But my initial response was like, no way, and of course a huge response. And he's like, oh wow, I do this all the time, I get this response.
Yeah.
So, it's trying to fight your natural responses to certain things isn't easy.
Yeah.
And it's grand to say to the behaviour analyst who's in the house, oh yes, I'll change that. But then the emotional response comes up for the parent, what do they do,
Yeah, it's interesting.
So that service that I was in, we would literally have people in sometimes every day of the week, a support worker in there. So when the behaviour happened, to prompt a response from the parents in the moment. Okay. Rather than like training in a classroom, sterile environment and then hoping that it happens in a real environment. Yeah, okay. But that's like an extremely well-resourced service and well-set-up service. And like, so I've come back to Ireland then thinking, does this kind of thing exist in Ireland? And I don't think it does in that level of resource. Yeah.
But so there's opportunity for growth in those sort of regards?
I think so, yeah.
But you're still learning?
So like, part of me was thinking, okay, so I'll come back and just set up this service in Ireland and it'll be great. Yeah. I've never owned my own business, I've never set up my own business. Yeah. But there's things that I just don't understand yet. The funding structures. So in the UK, it's, you'll have, say you've got Ryan who needs services. Yeah. He's got funding that's specific to Ryan. As far as I understand it so far in Ireland, you've had 4 people in a house, the funding's for the house. Okay. So it's not like you can take Ryan's support out and put it somewhere else, so you can give Ryan a certain level of support, so there's less. So in the service that I was in the northwest of England, it was built on the concept of invest to save. Okay. So like it was set up in a time post-economic crash, credit crunch, all that stuff, where money was really tight, and the government budgets were squeezing, and the team was set up in the local authority, which is government funded. So the money's getting smaller, and the team grew in that time because it was invest to save. Okay. So you've got somebody who's in a residential service and a private profit-making company providing their care and their support, and that costs 300 grand a year instead, right? You can go in there, and they're in that service because of behavioural issues, and that's why they're not moving on to somewhere less restricted. Yeah. They can live in the community with a skilled support team around them for half the cost. Yeah. But you need the will to make it happen, you need the skills to do the assessment, to write the kind of function-based support plans and make sure that actually, get a property and provide the training for the staff team. But you can do that and like actually achieve savings. Or it can be either cost neutral and have way better benefit and outcomes for the people, or have a kind of better outcome for the person and also be cheaper. Yeah. But you can do that because it's individualized funding. So like you can take Ryan's 300 grand and it's now 150. Okay. It's hard to do that if the funding is locked funding for lots of people. Yeah. And I think Ireland is moving that way, and there's pilot projects for individualized budgets and individualized funding, but it's a pilot thing. Okay. So I think it's turning, and I'm hopefully going to be part of the kind of development of those services over the next. It's part to be 80 before I retire now, right? The way they're changing pension retirement age and everything. But, so it's an exciting time to come back to the country. So I guess luckily for me, I got the right opportunities to get a set of skills when I was in the UK, and now I'm able to apply those back in my own country and hopefully make a difference. to the the community that I'm from, basically,
It's cool. I'd be interested from the viewers what your model looks like. Maybe we can share that down in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, like in our service in the northwest of England, I had a caseload of 8 people that I was responsible for, with the support of an assistant behaviour analyst and a support worker to help make all that happen.
Yeah.
And I presented at a conference here in April saying, is this similar in Ireland? And the impression I got was that it isn't, and it's a much higher caseload level.
Okay.
But I guess it depends on what kind of service you're in and how skilled the staff team are, and all those things as to what the right kind of caseload size is. There's no right caseload size, but you definitely know if it's too much. Yeah. Because you can do a reasonable amount of work well, or you can try to do too much work and the quality just suffers. Yeah. And then the person in the middle of that gets a poor service.
For sure.
Obviously none of us want to be in that boat, and I'm sure a lot of people have been in that boat, and I've been in that boat myself.
Yeah, I have as well.
And I think we're going to be in a boat in a minute, the way things are going.
Yeah, it's starting to rain more. So I'm interested, what is your model like where you're at? But also, what would the ideal model be from this, or maybe you've heard elsewhere? Write that down below. That's going to be our comment.
Actually, so in that service that I was in the northwest of England, we did a service evaluation paper, which we published, I think, back in 2015. So we can link that down below, right?
Okay.
And that looks at who got referred to the service, how long did it take us to do assessments, how long did it take to implement the interventions, and the maintenance periods. And then look at how, as a team, we allocated our time to completing assessments and to doing intervention support. Okay. And then what the outcomes were for the people involved. And part of the reason why we did a service evaluation was to kind of say, this is how a service like this can operate. Now, part of that was that we found out that we were spending too much time doing things like writing case notes. Yeah. Because people are worried that their case notes will be legal documents at some stage. Okay. And they have to have every single nth degree. I open the front door with my left hand. Yeah. And stuff that you don't. Obviously, I'm taking. But too much information, Yeah. So we did a bit of staff training around how you write sufficient case notes that aren't over the top. Cool. And we were spending too much time, individually going to different meetings when we could, collaborate on journeys and stuff. Okay. So there's some interesting stuff in there about how our service worked. Okay. Now, I'm not saying it was, and again, not perfect, but I haven't seen that. I don't think, maybe I haven't looked for it either, but from other services to basically to share knowledge about how, if you're going to set up a new PBS service, a new positive behavior support service, what could it look like, what should it look like, and how do you evaluate how it's working?
Okay. Yeah, so for those working in different places, I want to know what your model's like, what your ideal model would be, and then check this resource out. We're going to make sure that you're a man in the comments and helping out on those, because I don't know it as well, and it sounds like you are a wealth of knowledge on that resource. Yeah. So the article is linked below. Make sure that you add him in your sort of BA Rolodex, those things where they're kind of and cards. This is my joke, internet. I know it's not great. Do me a favor, give him some praise, some kudos in the comments below. Check the articles out. Smash that like button, share if you're interested, and I will see you in the next one. That's your Daily BA.